Hello everyone, with Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Wednesday evening, September 24, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you all like this video. I'd really appreciate it if you all get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak month of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the that's been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any other related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Taking a look at the U.S. National Hurricane Center 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook that just came out at around 7:43 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is actually 6:43 p.m. Jamaica time. We're still monitoring Hurricane Gabrielle right here to the west of the Azores Island. We are now monitoring Tropical Storm Humberto just to the northeast of the Caribbean. And we're still watching this code red right here that is now passing through Puerto Rico, if not the Dominican Republic, pushing towards the northwest as we speak. Very interesting Atlantic hurricane season right now. Remember, around the peak on September 10, nothing at all was taking place, but look at that. Only 14 days later and a bustling Atlantic right as we speak. And if we take a look at the infrared, we can make out all of these entities. The clouds associated with Gabrielle right here, quickly pushing off towards the east, towards the Azores Islands. You can see the clouds associated with Tropical Storm Humberto right in here, and the clouds associated with that area, that code red. We see a lot of thunderstorms, especially to the south of Puerto Rico as we speak. It's going to be very interesting to see exactly how it all plays out over the next 24 to 48 hours. So regarding the code red, let us zoom in and read what the Hurricane Center has stated. They're saying here, showers and thunderstorms have become better organized since yesterday in association with a tropical wave centered near Puerto Rico. This wave is expected to move west-northwestward around 10 to 15 miles per hour, spreading heavy rainfall and gusty winds across Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic through early tomorrow. The system is then expected to slow down and turn northwestward when it reaches the southwestern Atlantic. A tropical depression is likely to form when the disturbance is in the vicinity of the Bahamas late this week. Interests in Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, the Turks and Caicos Islands, and the Bahamas should monitor the progress of this system. And we see that they've given the area as a 40% chance of cyclone formation within the next 2 days and an 80% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. So it looks like we're going to be having that name Imelda soon. If we actually zoom in on the latest infrared associated with this system, look at the deep convection to the south of Puerto Rico, and supposedly the center of circulation is, I believe, to the north of there, if I'm not mistaken. So let us pause this since it is glitching out. The center of circulation is somewhere near Puerto Rico, if not threading the needle between Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. But we see a lot of the thunderstorms just to the far south of Puerto Rico. Very interesting. You have to pay close attention to exactly what's going to be taking place. Don't want to wake up and then the center of circulation is somewhere south of Hispaniola and then it is pushing more west than anything else. Sometimes the terrain can definitely cause some of these systems to, reform a center of circulation. But as of right now, Hurricane Center is adamant that the center of circulation should be somewhere here, if not across Puerto Rico, somewhere between Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic as we speak. Regarding what the Euro spaghetti models, the ensembles are showing, we should see it crossing over Puerto Rico. This is as of the latest, the 12-0 passing just to the north of Hispaniola and pushing into the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos right here, where it's expected to develop into a depression, if not a tropical storm, and push northward. And we see that the GFS ensemble spaghetti model plots are showing something similar regarding the track of the system, but regarding the intensity model guidance, they are still in agreement that a tropical storm is not going to be taking place or be forming within the next 24 to 48 hours. Definitely after that. So by day 3, so we're talking about Friday, Saturday, Sunday, by around Sunday, for sure, if not late Saturday, it should become a tropical storm. You see most of the models heading up into the greens. That represents tropical storm status. Regarding newly formed tropical storm Humberto, we can see the cloud showers and thunderstorms right here to the far northeast of the Caribbean. This one also glitching out, but definitely looking healthy. A lot of deep convection in the reds, the blacks, the grays, into the purples out here near the center of circulation. As of the latest here from the Hurricane Center, they're stating that Humberto is packing maximum sustained winds of 40 miles per hour. I know that tropical storms usually pack maximum sustained winds of anywhere from 39 to 73 miles per hour winds. So it's a low-end tropical storm, definitely closer to tropical depression status than to category 1 hurricane status. It is currently moving towards the west-northwest at 15 miles per hour. And as you can see here, it is expected to maintain that tropical storm status all the way up until possibly Saturday into Sunday, where we see the H's come in that represents hurricane status, and they're not really sure what's going to be happening as of right now regarding the track. Could it go more south? Could it go more north towards Bermuda? Only time will tell. And don't be surprised if some of these H's turn into M's that represents major hurricane status, because you know that the intensity model is not really the hurricane center's strong suit. Regarding what the supercomputer models are showing over the next couple of days, so this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both valid for 6Z on Tuesday, September 30. That's 1 a.m. on Tuesday, and this is where the Euro has future Imelda right here just to the north of the Bahamas, and future Humberto, definitely going to be a stronger system by that time, right over here just a bit to the west of where Bermuda is, but they could still be getting in on some of the effects. Very interesting. And we see that it is definitely a bit too close for comfort, which is why a lot of people are talking on social media about a possible Fujiwara effect kind of thing taking place, where maybe we're talking about Humberto maybe pushing to the west a bit, and then we have Imelda pushing to the right a bit or to the east a bit, maybe, you know, doing a little dance in and around each other because of the whole circulation in general. And sometimes the bigger system can absorb the smaller system, but not necessarily make it a bigger system in general. So don't think that's gonna be two systems becoming one and then becoming a huge thing or anything like that at all. The GFS is also showing both systems in the same spot. We see the GFS just slightly a bit east with future Imelda, the Euro, well, the GFS with Humberto right in here, about the same location, almost similar intensity. As a matter of fact, the Euro has a stronger Humberto 959 millibars than the GFS 972 millibars, but we know how these models go. This time they're showing something, next time they're showing something completely different. It's going to be very interesting to see all of this plays out over the next couple of days. Alright, so we're looking at Gabriel right here, still formidable, quickly moving towards the east. We still see a lot of convection, the reds into the blacks, into the grays, into the purples. It is quickly being, you know, pushed off towards the east, towards the Azores Island. We see a lot of upper level wind shear in there, pushing those cloud tops off towards the east as well. So it's definitely on a weakening trend. As you can see here, it is, you know, maintaining that hurricane status as it pushes towards the Azores Islands. We see the reds that represents hurricane warning up for the Azores. As of right now, Gabrielle is packing 100 mile per hour winds. We know that systems that pack anywhere from 96 to 110 mile per hour winds are categorized as category 2 hurricanes, as you can see there. So it is definitely quite a formidable system. Should maintain that hurricane status before it possibly hits the Azores. It is currently moving towards the east at 28 miles per hour, and we see how far the tropical storm force winds in the gold extend out, and even the browns right in there closer to the center of circulation. Hurricane force winds definitely a bit smaller as usual, but I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a lot of footage coming out of that country over the next couple of days regarding exactly what Gabrielle does. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see that we have a trough right here across the northern Bahamas, affecting Florida into Cuba as well. That tropical wave that has a high chance of development right here, affecting Puerto Rico. That other system right here that is now Humberto, the area of low pressure associated with it. To the southeast of that, we have a tropical wave intertwined with the intertropical convergence zone. And we know all of these entities are either pushing from east to west, or southeast to northwest, or east southeast to west northwest, all courtesy of these ridges of high pressure to the north. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before we lost sunlight, we can make out all of these entities. The clouds associated with the trough affecting the northern Bahamas into sections of Cuba. Clouds associated with that strong tropical wave trying to become Imelda. The clouds associated with Humberto right in here. And the clouds that are quickly pushing towards the east associated with Gabrielle, as you can see there. And look at that, to the southeast of that we have that tropical wave that we saw intertwined with the intertropical convergent zone. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean's weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Wednesday, September 24, 2025. It was stated that rainfall could have been in the forecast of parts of some eastern, central, and western parishes, and especially northern parishes, during Wednesday afternoon. And we know that eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, and St. Andrew. Central parishes, and we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Catherine. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And northern parishes, we're talking about Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. And what ended up happening? At around 4:45 p.m., the visible satellite images were posted not only here on our Twitter page with the Jamaica, but they were also posted on our Instagram page with the Jamaica, on our TikTok page with the Jamaica, and on our Facebook page with the Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So we can see that at around 4:45 p.m., the visible satellite images as well as the infrared satellite images were posted, and they highlighted some clouds, bringing some overcast skies, if not isolated showers, if not isolated thunder showers, if not overcast skies, to section of mainly central and western parishes. So with the brunt of the thunderstorms affecting section of St. Elizabeth, we saw the sparkling yellow dots down there that we know represent lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. And then the thunderstorm started to affect section of Manchester at the end of the loop here, while it was mainly overcast across sections of Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney into western St. Anne. And we saw some clouds that might have brought some isolated showers to section of Clarendon as well as St. Andrew as well when this post was made. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before we lost sunlight, we can make out how it actually took place. Clearly the western parishes were getting on the first of the thunderstorm activity, then Manchester, section of Clarendon, section of St. Andrew for sure definitely got on some of the isolated shower activity, but majority of St. Catherine, St. Mary, Portland, St. Thomas definitely in the clear. Alright, if we even take a look at the infrared, we can see where the thunderstorms took place, mainly across section of St. Elizabeth into Manchester before all was clearing out during the evening hours. And even the Jamaican Doppler radar here confirming, look at the greens into the yellows across St. Elizabeth, even sections of Westmoreland getting in on the light rainfall, pushing into Hanover, into Trelawney. Then Manchester started to get in on their fair share of some decent rainfall, some moderate to heavy rainfall at first for sure, and even some rain bands right here to the north as well earlier before all of this started. So they definitely got some decent rainfall in those spots, mainly the southwestern end. Even although the upper level clouds were being shared out towards the north, yes, it was, predicted that maybe the north coast could have gotten in on some of the activity because of that upper level wind shear, but clearly most of the thunderstorms were focused on the south side, so it was definitely mainly central and western parishes for sure. And if we take a look at the live camera here from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, this is showing Little London in Westmoreland. Didn't have much of anything in this area today. This is at around 15:57, which is actually 3:57 p.m. You can see people walking about, people in their vehicles going about their business. Definitely sunny conditions taking place at that time in Little London. And I would like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams all for you all to view for free. So subscribe today to this channel so that you don't miss out. Taking a look at the total accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, this map does indeed paint quite the picture for we might have had a rainfall today, especially across sections of some south central and western parishes. And we actually have just a few comments confirming what the weather is like in some of our followers here. We have Active 4081 sitting hot in his area of Clarendon. We have Edward Stenisha stating place dark up in South Manchester. Thought was gonna rain but just heard thunders. I'm guessing most of the thunderstorms are to the north of you in central Manchester, since you're in South Manchester where they didn't get that much of anything. We have High Dot Society stating at this point, before me pack up my thing and leave Portmore, the place hot. Boy, I feel your pain. Alright, so we're going to be reloading the very latest still image from the Weather News website, the latest still image from the Jamaican Doppler radar site, the latest Cuban Doppler radar, the latest Guantanamo Bay US Navy radar, and the latest Cayman radar. We want to see exactly what's taking place right now. Alright, so the latest still image here from the Weather News website is showing 0015 UTC, which is actually 7:15 p.m. as a matter of fact, and a new image is supposed to come out in just a couple of seconds, the 7:25 imagery, but I'm pretty sure that there will be no change. We see that all of the clouds that we had across the island today have cleared out, just leaving some whitish clouds of cirrus, high cirrus clouds. Nothing in the way of bad weather taking place at this time. Even the latest Jamaican Doppler radar imagery is not showing anything across the island. All of these greens that you see is just ground clutter. It's not rainfall at all. We see some decent rainfall, however, across section of southeastern Cuba just to the west of Guantanamo, and we see some rainfall, some moderate to heavy rainfall just to the southwest of Westmoreland right there. Definitely in line with what we're seeing right here with these clouds, so it's all making sense. Unfortunately, it looks like the Cuban Doppler radar glitched out today at around 3:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 2:10 p.m. Jamaica time. At that time, we saw the rainfall that was affecting portion of St. Elizabeth. We see the greens. Regarding the Guantanamo Bay US Navy radar, we're actually seeing that rainfall that we just saw on the Jamaican Doppler radar. Look at the greens and the blues. That's some light to moderate, even some slightly heavy rainfall right there. Not making out anything across northeastern Jamaica though, but we do see some isolated shores here and there. Light to moderate rainfall like that across the western peninsula of Haiti. Regarding the Cayman radar, I'm sure we're going to be seeing that rainfall to the southwest of the island right in here that we saw on the Jamaican Doppler radar. Definitely coinciding with what we saw there, as well as on the infrared satellite imagery. You can also see some isolated shores just to the north and to the south of the Cayman Islands, and some leftover rainfall pushing out to sea from what affected Cuba today. Regarding what's taking place right now, the live camera right here from See Jamaica's YouTube channel is showing what's happening around the Devon House area. So let us get up into 1080p. As you can see here, people in their vehicles going about their business. And as you can see, it is definitely fair. Nothing in the way of bad weather taking place. And that should be the order of the evening into the night. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we're at 28 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 27 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 7 a.m. Let's find 4 a.m. 4 a.m. on Thursday, temperatures should dip down to about 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Thursday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Thursday, and we see Jamaica right here embedded in some oranges. That represents up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. I know the normal temperature for the month of September across Jamaica is around 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and when that's converted to degrees Celsius that we use here in Jamaica, that's around 32.2 2 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 32.2 to 34.2 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Thursday. And unfortunately, we have many maintenance outage advisories here from my JPS online Twitter page that we have to highlight. And we know that we have to highlight these because we know that when we have power outages somewhere across the island, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, please let them know that a power outage is coming their way on Thursday, September 25, 2025. And we're referring to Vista Del Mar in St. Andrew from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. We're also referring to, well, look at this. We're seeing another Vista Del Mar in St. Anne from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. I wonder if there was a mistake that was made. We also have outages expected in and around Williams Field, Johns Hall, as well. We know that's in St. James from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Rock Hall in Portland, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Jubilee Town to Moreland in St. Catherine from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Macfield in Westmoreland from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Turners to Moores in Clarendon from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Turners to Moores, well, I guess that's repeating. Another one right here, Darlingford to Qua Hill in Portland from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And finally, we have Turners to Moores in Clarendon from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. I think we already even said that. Alright, and we have some tips right here to beat the heat. As usual, it states here, seek shade when outside. Eat fresh, try eating cold foods such as salads and fruits. Rest, make sure you get enough sleep and rest if you're feeling tired. Soak, take a cool shower or bath to help you cool down. And I cannot stress enough the importance of staying hydrated throughout the day. Drink lots of water even if you're not thirsty, and put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the queue on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. And we can see the dry air extending all the way from Africa across portion of the main development region. We know that the dry air is responsible for keeping the atmosphere stable, making it harder for it to rain. And we're grateful that we're seeing most of the dry air over here, and a lot more moist air showing up across the intertropical convergence zone, the western main development region, into the Caribbean, the southwestern Atlantic, the Gulf, in and around Central America. That's what we want, more moist air, so that we get more clouds, that we get more rainfall to cool the temperatures down and keep water in our pipes. But regarding the Saharan dust forecast for the next 3 days, so we're heading into September 25, September 26, and September 27. And as you can see, for the next 3 days, Jamaica should be in the clear in terms of Saharan dust. However, we see a nice plume coming through the main development region, pushing into the Lesser Antilles. But what we like to see is the fact that it came from some oranges and then it started to dwindle down into some yellows, into some greens, and that means it is decreasing in intensity, and that's what we want, because know that the Saharan dust can definitely cause hazy skies, not to mention trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses such as asthmatic issues or sinusitis issues in people. So we're glad that the more it pushes westward, the more it is dwindling down. So let's see how it actually looks by the time it gets to Jamaica. Regarding the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can clearly see that the waves are going to be churning wherever we have the systems. So apparently to the north of Hispaniola tomorrow, they're going to be getting in on the dark blues into the purples. They're representing from 2 maybe up to 3 or 4 meter wave heights. That's because of that Invest 94L system, that strong tropical wave that has a high chance of development within the next 7 days. And just to the east of that one, we have that new tropical storm, that's Humberto. So it makes sense that the seas are churning up, while across the Caribbean we're still seeing the light shades of blues to dark shades of blues. We're talking about anywhere from 0.54 meter wave height all the way up to 1.5 meter wave height, and that's because of the winds that are expected. We see more of a southeasterly flow across the eastern Caribbean, more of an east-northeasterly flow across the central to the western Caribbean, and it's definitely going to be causing more of a northeasterly flow across Jamaica tomorrow. We see the winds right here to the north of Hispaniola, some greens into the yellows, averaging 20 to 25 knots or more. We also see the winds in and around Humberto right here spinning counterclockwise. So it all makes sense as to why the seas are going to be churning up there. But regarding Jamaica's wave forecast for tomorrow, given the northeasterly flow, some high waves could be expected, well, at least 1.1 meter wave height. To the north of Portland, Fisher Folk, we have 0.9 of a meter wave height to the south of St. and, well, St. Thomas. To the north of St. Anne, 0.7 for me to wave 5. To the north of Hanover, 0.5 for me to wave 5. To the south of Westmoreland, 0.6 for me to wave 5. To the south of Clarendon, 0.7 for me to wave 5. And that's because of the winds that are expected. We clearly see a northeasterly flow tomorrow coming through the windward passage right here between Cuba and Haiti. And we also see that on the south coast there's some southerly flow, but clearly all of the air is going to be piling up across sections of some south central and southwestern, even some southeastern parishes for sure. That is where we have the least amount of wind. That is where we could have some of these low-level clouds becoming mid-level rain clouds during the afternoon, and the daytime heating could trigger some amount of thunderstorms. And if we actually get the upper level clouds in the thunderstorms, some of these clouds will be pushing out towards the east, definitely bringing more of the thunderstorms across sections of the entire island in general. Very interesting day tomorrow. But let us look at what the rainfall forecast maps are showing. This map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both valid for 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 8 a.m. Jamaica time. And what do both maps show? Some blues represent rainfall across the northeastern end of the island. So maybe it's section of Portland. That is what both the Euro and the GFS modes are showing. Some of this could spill into section of St. Mary, maybe eastern St. Thomas. We'll see how it plays out. And then by afternoon, look at this. The Euro right here and the GFS right here. And what are they both showing? Rainfall across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes. GFS making more sense. It looks more so like eastern, southern, and western parishes. So look out for that afternoon rainfall if you're in sections of St. Mary, Portland, sections of St. Thomas, section of Kingston, St. Andrew for sure, sections of St. Catherine for sure. So to Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, maybe eastern Westmoreland, maybe southern St. James, maybe central to southern Trelawney. We'll see it actually plays out. And even the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps here are in agreement that it should be raining somewhere in Jamaica within the next 24 hours. The Euro going up to at least 0.31 of an inch of rainfall. The GFS going up to at least 0.3 of an inch of rainfall. Whatever happens, we'll definitely take it, because we're in the month of September, and in Manchester, whose bar graph is being shown right here, we will receive around 124 millimeters of rainfall this month. That's around 4.9 inches of rainfall. And in St. Thomas, whose bar graph is being shown right here, we usually receive around 122 millimeters of rainfall this month. That's around 4.8 inches of rainfall. And I would like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall, you can visit nomadseason.com, and that website to show you that information. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here at the top as we go to the next 168 hours. That stands for the next 7 days. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens represents inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. So as you can see, 12:00 on Friday, which is actually 7 a.m., doesn't really show much of anything across Jamaica, but we do see that moisture associated with Invest 94L that should be plaguing portions of Hispaniola, the Turks and Caicos, southeastern portions of the Bahamas. And we also see to the east of that, we have Tropical Storm Humberto still pushing off slowly. And then by Friday afternoon, what do we see? Rainfall in the greens across eastern, central, western parishes in Jamaica. What do we see on the GFS? Do we have agreement? First of all, on the GFS, look at what we're seeing. We're actually seeing an L right here between Haiti and Cuba. Interesting. To pay close attention to that, coming a bit too close for comfort. Maybe the pressures are just lowering in terms of, something trying to form. But more than likely, it could relocate to the north of there, like what the hurricane center has stated. But we're talking rainfall, and we see some rainfall across the far eastern end of the island for Friday morning. Then on Friday afternoon, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. And look at that. That L has jumped to the northeast of where it was. What do we see on Saturday morning? On Saturday morning on the Euro, we actually see where the system should be located right here, just to the north of Cuba. We see a lot of moisture as well. Look at that rainfall to the north and to the east of Jamaica. Very interesting. And then by Saturday afternoon, we're seeing rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes once again. What do we see on Saturday morning on the GFS? Saturday morning, rainfall to the north of us, east of us, west of us, south of us. And we also see where the system should be located right here to the north of Haiti. What do we see on the GFS? Well, what do we see during the afternoon? Just like the year, rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. Very interesting as we head into the weekend. Definitely getting wetter for sure. What do we see on Sunday morning? On Sunday morning, we see moisture to the south of us, to the east of us, to the north of us. Then on Sunday afternoon, we're seeing rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. What do we see on the GFS? Sunday morning, rainfall to the south of us, to the east of us, across the eastern end as well. Then on Sunday afternoon, we're seeing rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. Very interesting. And look at the twin systems so close to each other. Imelda right here, future, well, Humberto right here, Hurricane Humberto for sure. What do we see on Monday morning? On Monday morning, this is where future high Imelda should be located, maybe in the northern Bahamas. Don't see much of anything across Jamaica at that time in terms of rainfall, but at that, by Monday afternoon, we're seeing rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. What does the GFS show? Monday morning, rainfall looks like it's across the south coast. Then on Monday afternoon, rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. So a very interesting pattern setting up. I like what I'm seeing. More greens, more rainfall for sure. What do we see on Tuesday morning? Don't really see much of anything across Jamaica on Tuesday morning. But Tuesday afternoon, we're seeing rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. And we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for Wednesday, October 1. And we're seeing a lot of moisture in and around Jamaica. Very interesting. Do we have the same on the GFS? Let us see. First of all, Tuesday morning, rainfall across the south coast. Tuesday afternoon, rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. And just like on the year, we're stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is also valid for Wednesday, October 1. And we see a lot of moisture in and around Jamaica, especially to the southeast of us. Very interesting. We'll see it actually plays out. Definitely have to keep watch for sure. But in terms of the total accumulated precipitation for the next 7 days, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are in agreement that there should definitely be an increase in the rainfall that's expected across the Bahamas, section of Cuba into Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. And we see that also sections of northern South America into Central America are going to be getting in on their usual rainfall. We're talking about anywhere from 2 all the way up to 5 inches of rainfall. And we also see the rainfall that's expected from Humberto right over here. Very interesting. And we're not only seeing this on the Euro, but the GFS is showing something similar. Some of this even making it as far as Jamaica on the GFS. Very interesting. And look at this. Some of the rainfall totals that should be affecting the Dominican Republic getting up into the blues that represents maybe up to 10 or more inches. Very, very interesting. That could definitely trigger some crazy flash flooding. While other areas that we know that are shaded in the green, yellows, oranges, and red should be getting in an inch or less of rainfall. We're talking about central to northwestern Cuba, Florida, sections of the Yucatan, Belize, Guatemala, into portions of the Windward Islands and northeastern South America. But regarding Jamaica's rainfall totals for the next 7 days, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are in agreement that over the next 7 days from now up until Wednesday, October 1, we see Jamaica shaded from the eastern end to the western end. We're talking about the greens into the yellows into the slight oranges. That represents anywhere from 15 millimeters of rainfall all the way up to at least 50 millimeters of rainfall. The GFS going up in there into the same amount of rainfall totals. Look at the crazy rainfall totals just to the east of there into the pinks, into the reds. Very interesting. A lot of rainfall out to sea. So some of that could even spill into us. We have to pay close attention to see exactly what's going to be taking place. Alright, so regarding what's taking place across the rest of the basin, so as stated, the tropical wave is definitely crossing through somewhere here near Puerto Rico as we speak. A lot of deep convection to the south of Puerto Rico right now. Definitely want to see what that Doppler radar looks like. Let us see. I'm pretty sure we are seeing a lot of moisture to the south of there. Look at that. Batch of heavy rainfall in the greens and the yellows right here to the south of Puerto Rico. We're also seeing the US and British Virgin Islands, especially the British Virgin Islands, getting in on some moderate to heavy rainfall as we speak. Section of central to southwestern Puerto Rico getting in on some decent rainfall right now. And even if we load these images from earlier today, we saw where they were definitely getting in on some decent rainfall all day in and around Puerto Rico for sure, and more of that to come tonight into tomorrow. Regarding the Barbados radar, on the other hand, not seeing much of anything across Barbados right now. We do see some moisture, some light moderate, even some slightly heavy rainfall pushing into Dominica, northern Martinique, some isolated hit or miss showers pushing into Tobago right there. The weather we have deployed our images confirming that rainfall that we saw across Puerto Rico associated with inverse 94L, central and western Cuba with some afternoon rainfall, section of southern Florida with some afternoon rainfall, so too the northern Bahamas, section of northwestern Venezuela, section of Colombia, northeastern Venezuela. And regarding where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are in agreement that from now up until 10 p.m. on Thursday, these are the areas that should be getting in some amount of rainfall. We're talking about the greens into the yellows into the oranges and the reds, and that represents anywhere from 0.1 of an inch of rainfall all the way up to an inch of rainfall or more, especially across the Dominican Republic, where we see the dark reds into the purples, into the pinks, into the peaches. That represents anywhere from 2 all the way to maybe 6 inches of rainfall. And we clearly see that the Euro is showing something similar regarding those spots. So expect rainfall if you're in these areas. Some flash flooding definitely possible in the Dominican Republic and near Puerto Rico for sure. Regarding the Florida area, we see rainfall in the green section of the Bahamas getting in some isolated hit or miss showers too. So to Cuba, the Cayman Islands, Jamaica. We also expect rainfall across sections of the Leeward Islands still to come. We're talking about St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia. We also see some rainfall expected for Barbados, central to western Venezuela, section of the ABC Islands, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, section of El Salvador, southern to western Guatemala, into coastal areas of the Yucatan and Belize. And we clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS modes are in agreement with this forecast. Only that when they're in agreement like this, the chances are higher for it to actually take place. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what's taking place across the eastern Pacific, and we're still watching Hurricane Narda right here just to the west of Mexico. We can see the system right here, not really looking that impressive right now, but we see it has a lot of moisture associated with it. Should maintain that hurricane status all the way up until Saturday. It is currently packing maximum sustained winds of 100 mile per hour winds. We know that systems that pack anywhere from 96 to 110 mile per hour winds are classified as category 2 hurricanes. So definitely category 2 status right now. A huge wind field in the gold colors, a small, well, tropical storm wind field in the gold colors, hurricane force wind field definitely closer to the center as usual. Currently moving towards west at 10 miles per hour. Should make a huge right turn later on down the road by Saturday into Sunday, where it's expected to downgrade back to a tropical storm, more than likely because it's going to be hitting some cooler waters for sure. Regarding the other side of the basin, so we're heading into the Western Pacific, and as you can see here, the Western Pacific is still showing that we have 3 systems over here: Typhoon Ragasa, Bualoi, and Niaguri. We can see all 3 entities right here: Niaguri, Bualoi right here to the east of the Philippines, and we saw that Ragasa has finally pushed into China, and trust me, we have a lot of footage regarding Ragasa. As of right now, it is packing 80 knot winds. I know that systems that usually pack anywhere from 65 to 83 knot winds are classified as category 1 hurricanes. So it is still a category 1 hurricane. It is inland right now, so it makes sense that it is dwindling in intensity. Should get down, as you can see here, 50 knots, 30 knots, 20 knots. Still packing a punch to section of China as we speak. If you have friends or relatives who live or work in China, get in touch with them right now. They could be experiencing or about to experience some bad weather, maybe a long time before you get in contact with them. We're also still watching Niaguri, a fish storm. We see that it is currently, meandering, moving slowly right here. Look at where it's gonna be by September 28th, and it's just September 24 now. Just to show you how slow it's moving. So as of right now, it is packing 60 knot winds, and just a tropical storm if I'm not mistaken. Let me see, if not a low-end hurricane. Let me see. So 65 knot winds as of the 24th. So definitely category 1 status, just a low-end category 1 right now. And finally, the other system now. We're talking about this new one that just formed. That's Tropical Storm Bualoy. It's a crazy name. Pushing out towards the west-northwest into the Philippines. 50 knot winds, 45, 50, 60. We know that the intensity is not really set in stone. It could be more than that for sure. So I have to take these forecasts with a grain of salt. But Philippines are going to be getting in on some bad weather over the next couple of days. But we need to see some of the footage that has taken place regarding Ragasa here in China. Amid the storm surge from Super Typhoon Ragasa, residents rushed to the streets to catch fish washed ashore. I mean, there's a lot of video footage and we're going through all of them. Imagine you're in the streets of your city and apparently there was storm surge. So storm surge basically when the sea comes over because of the very strong winds of the hurricane. And look at that, people are over there catching fish in the streets. That is crazy. We have another CCTV footage right here. It states this one shows storm surge from Super Typhoon Ragasa crashing through the front of a restaurant as powerful waves batter coastal areas. I mean, look at the footage. Imagine you're in a restaurant and just one big bout of water just pushes in. Storm surge is crazy. It's almost like a tsunami in a sense. But we can clearly see that the area was already flooded. So I'm guessing the doors finally, couldn't, hold the whole water in general. And look at that. Things are already floating in water for sure. What do we see here? This morning, a person walked during Typhoon Ragasa in a coastal area of Hong Kong. Would you tell him he shouldn't be there, or would you just kick him for doing something so foolish? And there we go. Somebody out there who should be sheltering in their place right now. Like, are you serious? Out in a whole typhoon near the shore when, there's things like storm surge that can take place. That is crazy. That man has a death wish. Another video right here. By the way, if you're not following Weather Monitor on Twitter, you need to fix that. They post a lot of what's happening across the world in terms of weather and the impact. Severe flooding hits coastal areas in Super Typhoon Ragasa strikes. Vehicles are seen floating amid a powerful storm surge in Pearl River estuary. Gaolan Island, Zhuhai, Guangdong, China. Hope I'm not butchering those names, but look at this. This is crazy. Look at all of the inundation, the flooding, vehicles being swept away. My goodness, this is what these systems come with in general. I also have another one right here in Guangdong province, China. People fight typhoons. Cars are secured more carefully than people. And look at what this person did to their vehicle. This is just crazy. The sandbags and all of the rope. This is just crazy. Another one right here. At 6 a.m. this morning, the Fullerton Ocean Park Hotel was battered by huge waves driven by Typhoon Ragasa. Storm surge in southern district, Hong Kong, China. Imagine you're in a whole hotel and all of this happens. Somebody even being swept away right there. That is just crazy. Just to show you how crazy these hurricanes can get in general. Let me rewind just a bit. There we go. So the storm surge basically burst the glass doors down. Another one right here. CCTV footage shows the Fullerton. Okay, so I guess this is the CCTV footage, and the one that we just saw was somebody holding a camera. Well, this is what these hurricanes or these typhoons come with in general. We don't want any more systems like that. All of us who experience the brunt of Beryl knows what I'm talking about. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.